Preeti Shenoy is one among the most popular and best-selling authors of India. Her books are generally recommended for people who are beginner-level readers. I totally vouch for this because I myself started reading English novels with Preeti Shenoy Books. Her writing style is so simple and understandable to anybody who is new to reading. She writes relationship-based stories that are quite engaging and relatable to Indian readers. She is quite popular as a romance writer, but her stories stand different from any other cliché romance stories that you get to read. She adds a lot of values and morals in her stories. I haven't read every single book written by Preeti Shenoy. She has written more than 10 novels. I do not know the exact numbers. Also, I do not want to tell you that every single book that I read by Preeti Shenoy were fantastic. I did have my own issues with the storylines or climaxes in her books. But when it comes to a beginner level reader, what is more important is the ease of reading. Suppose you pick a book for the first time in your life and you are not able to finish that book. This is going to completely turn you off and you might not be able to pick your second book anytime soon. This is where Preeti Shenoy book comes handy. Her narration is so beautiful that it will hook you to the book. Even if you have some kind of disagreement with the storylines in her books, you still want to continue reading, and this is the beauty of Preeti Shenoy's books. Things just go straight into your head and you will not have any issues understanding the story in the book. First book I picked by Preeti Shenoy was The Secret Wishlist. This is a story that revolves around a 35-year-old woman who got married at a very young age. She has a kid, but she is not happy with her married life till date. One day her cousin comes to meet her, and after talking to her cousin, she realizes how boring her life has been all these years. Now she makes a wish list of things that she feels she have been missing all these years in her life, and she prepares herself to work on it. The story goes on with how this protagonist achieves every single thing that she has written in this wish list. This might sound so interesting and inspiring, but somehow I did not like this book so much. I did not like the story so much. I felt that she could have written much better things on her wish list than what she wrote in the story. I might not recommend this book to anyone, but I was quite happy after reading this book because this was the first novel that I read completely. This was that book which helped me to get into the habit of reading. Now I decided to pick one more book by this author, and the second book I picked by Preeti Shenoy was Life is What You Make It. People have mixed opinions about this book, but I really liked this book. This is a fictional story that makes us aware about the mental health issue of bipolar disorder. The protagonist of the book is bipolar, and the story revolves around how she deals with the issue. Back then, people were not open about mental health issues. Even I was not aware about bipolar issue before I read this book. The author has done quite a good research about how the bipolar patients are dealt with before writing this book. I was quite impressed by the author after reading this book, so I decided to pick one more book by this author. It's the best part of this video and my favorite book, that is 100 Little Flames by Preeti Shenoy. This is the best book written by Preeti Shenoy till date. Those who have read this book will definitely agree to this because this book is entirely different from any other book written by Preeti Shenoy all these years. This is a story that revolves around the relationship between a grandson and a grandfather. This grandfather happens to live in a village in Kerala, so you will get to see a beautiful narration of the scenic beauty of a village in Kerala and also the ancestral house where this grandfather lives. Ayan, the grandson, is a 26-year-old man who comes to live with his grandfather for a few days. This book also tells us about the issues that people face during their old age and how it badly affects their mental health. Now, as and when the relationship between Ayan and his grandfather deepens, Ayan comes to know about a lot of things about his grandfather's early days. And now the book takes us towards a whole different story. The story is about the grandfather's early life and the relationship he had with a lady with whom he was not allowed to get married back then, and things like that. This is a very, very well written story that will hook you throughout the book and it will mesmerize you throughout your read. So if you want to pick just one book by Preeti Shenoy, this is that book. Go pick it up, read it and enjoy yourself. Next book that came out was The Rule Breakers. The title sounded quite intriguing to me. This book takes us to the early 90s where girls were not allowed to be much vocal about their opinions. The protagonist of this story, Veda, had to get married when she was still in college. She ends up in a bitter family where her mother-in-law comes as a major villain. This story revolves around how she overcomes the barriers in her life and how she breaks the rules to achieve her dreams. This was a quite well written book, but I was still in the hangover of the previous book, so I think even though this was a good book, it was nothing like 100 Little Flames. The book in my list is Love a Little Stronger. This is basically a non-fiction book. It has stories from Preeti Shenoy's life. This book is a sequel to her book 34 Bubblegums and Candies. I haven't read that book, but I really loved Love a Little Stronger. So these are the books I have read by Preeti Shenoy till date. Apart from this, I have also read some short stories by this author, which we can discuss in a different video. If you have reached till this point of the video, I am pretty sure that you are either a Preeti Shenoy fan or you might be interested to pick the books written by this author. So before you go, I would like to give you a glimpse of her latest release, that is When Love Came Calling. This book got released just 2 days back, and what I came to know about the book from the synopsis is that this is the story of a teenage boy and a girl who happens to meet each other in a social work campaign or something like that, which is happening somewhere in Kerala. So this girl is like any other common girl who was born and brought up in India, and the boy happens to be born and brought up in Britain. So they meet each other and they start sharing some common interests that they have, and hence develop a relationship with each other. This is what I know about the book, and if you want a review of this book, you can go to Ronak Shah's channel. Ronak is an Indian booktuber who has already reviewed this book, so go and check out the review, and if you feel that book interests you, definitely pick it up, read it, and let us know how did you feel about it. So that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in my next video. Till then, take care, stay safe, bye bye.